back to another YouTube video. Now, in today's video, guys, I'm going to be doing a book review on original series Goosebumps book number 11, which is The Haunted Mask. But first, of course, I do have some quick announcements to make. As far as upcoming videos, I did decide that maybe I would do an overview or just kind of giving you guys my thoughts on the new developer update that came out for Dead by Daylight. I thought that would be kind of cool to do, so that'll probably be the next video I'll do, and then I'll continue doing the rounds for the horror slasher killer matchups. And also, I am, because this is the number 11th book and I've already read Be Careful What You Wish For, the number 12, I'm reading Piano Lessons Can Be Murder next, and I'm already a good portion of the way through, so a review for that will likely be coming in the next few weeks as well. And then the big video that I know you guys are anticipating, the Goosebumps collection, hopefully that will come up, hopefully that'll be coming by the end of April or early May. Just trying to get a few more stuff that I'd like to get in the collection before I do an update. And I'd like to wait till officially a year after the previous Goosebumps collection, just because I feel like that's kind of, make it more of like an anniversary and a celebration for, like the update of the Goosebumps collection or something like that. I don't know. I try to be patient, you know what I mean? And I'll get a few more books in and try to get in as early as I can, as when I am satisfied with my progress. So yeah, that's it for upcoming videos. General announcements that I make in every video. Make sure you read the community posts so that you can stay up to date with any potential future changes. I also post polls there, some fun polls that you guys can do that I occasionally put on there. And join the Discord. Link will always be in the description of every video. I do encourage you, if you have not joined the Discord, join it. There's some interesting exclusive stuff that you can see on there. There's like a fun money grind game that we have in there, and then, sometimes we'll have some interesting conversations in there, so join the Discord if you haven't. And I think that's it for the announcements. Let's get on to the review. It did not take me long to read this book, surprisingly. Usually it takes me a couple of weeks at least, because I don't have a bunch of anticipation to read a big portion of the book in one sitting, but as far as this book goes, I did, and I think that's because I was going to read The Haunted Mask a while back. I'm not sure why I didn't, but I finally came back to it because the last book I read which was a couple months ago, it's been a while since I've done a review, was I Live in Your Basement, and I think I was more interested in reading that than The Haunted Mask. So I finally came back to it, got it over with, so we officially have the first 12 of the original series books done now. And as I said in the announcements, the next book that I'll be reviewing is Piano Lessons Can Be Murder. So yeah, just as I usually do, kind of a tradition, I'll be showing you the two different copies. I guess there's actually technically three, but I only have the latest reprinted cover of The Haunted Mask, which is actually one of the better reprinted covers. It actually gives you a pretty good overview of what is happening in the book. And then, arguably one of the best covers, in my opinion, for Goosebumps. This is the original cover. As a little kid, this would scare the heck out of me. I had to cover it up because I just did not want to look at that scary mask. Or as a little kid, I thought it was really scary, and I couldn't even turn it over either, as some people do, because the mask is on the other side as well. So I don't know if I contain spoilers for the past reviews since it's been a little while, but in this review I'm not going to be putting in any spoilers. I've been doing so many takes just deciding whether or not I want to do spoilers or not, but in this one I'm going to try my hardest to not give you any spoilers, but there might be some information in there that maybe you don't want to see. I'm going to try my hardest to not go in super detail with the book, in case you have not read it. I want to give you just a general overview of what to expect, and then tell you my vague thoughts, without any details, at the end. I'm going to try my absolute hardest, because in the other takes, I couldn't really contain myself. But The Haunted Mask, oh boy, here we go. The Haunted Mask is basically about this middle school girl named Carly Beth, who is easily scarable. Even her best friend finds it funny when these two boys named Chuck and Steve are constantly scaring her throughout the book. And Carly Beth wants to get back at them this upcoming Halloween. So she goes to this mask store in town, and she buys this mask in the mask store. Now, originally the mask owner wasn't going to let her buy this mask because apparently it was too scary. But eventually she begged and begged, and she did get the mask. and the store owner was kind of shaking his head, knowing that she would likely come back to cry for help. So on Halloween, she wears the mask and the costume, even though her mom didn't want her to wear it. So she basically wears the scary mask, and she also brings a broomstick with a sculpture of her head on it. And I wouldn't really consider this spoilers because it plays such a key role in the book. So I'm just gonna say it otherwise. At the beginning of the book, Carly Beth comes home after school, I believe, or I think after purchasing the mask, and we see that she talks to her mom, and her mom shows her a sculpture of her head, literally her daughter's head, and she asks, so why did you make this sculpture of my head? Well, it's to show that I really love you. And I just find that such a weird aspect to this book, and it's supposed to play into the lesson about this book and stuff like that. I'm not going to explain to you what the lesson is, because some of you might actually consider that spoilers, but it's supposed to play into the lesson of this book and stuff like that. And I just find it really creepy. I don't care. My mom made a sculpture of my head. I wouldn't think it was because she loved me. I think my mom was just an absolute creep. So I don't know. I wanted to say that. Just a really weird part of the book. But she takes the sculpture of the head, which is made out of this like plaster of Paris. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but maybe I think it's some like fragile material. So despite her mom saying, don't mess with it or anything like that, she takes it with her on Halloween and she props it on like this little broomstick. And that's basically her costume for Halloween. She's got the broomstick with the sculpture head on it, and then she's wearing the creepy mask. And she wants to get back at Chucky and Steve, of course, so a few times in the book, she kind of misconceives little kids for Chuck and Steve. But eventually she does find Chuck and Steve, and she gets what she wants. And on that night where she's trying to find Chuck and Steve, and she's trying to scare them and stuff like that, her behavior really, really changes, and she kind of turns into a completely different character. And that plays into the lesson and stuff like that in this book, which I'm not going to explain. But, just wanted to throw that out there. And she goes home and, she basically runs into the issue, where she kind of comes back into normal with her behavior, and her best friend Sabrina asks, well, don't you want to take off that mask? So they try to take it off, and they have, trouble taking off the mask. And at the ending of the book, she uses something, I'm not going to say what it is, to eventually get the mask off, but then you have a little surprise twist ending at the end, which also I'm not going to explain. So that's basically a general idea on what the book is about. Hopefully I didn't put in too much details for you guys. Now I'm going to give you my thoughts. So what do I think about this book? For those of you who have not read the book, I recommend reading the book before you watch the episode. And I think, I don't know why I didn't mention that for half of the other books. Before I read even a single Goosebumps book, I had watched every single Goosebumps episode, but I have not watched a Goosebumps episode in some years. So I rewatched this Goosebumps episode, after a couple of years, just for a refresher, and, I will say that, it was much easier for me to learn kind of the lesson behind the story when I read the book as opposed to when I watched the episode. And maybe that was just because I was younger, I was immature, I didn't really understand things as well. But for me, at least, it was like immediately when I read the book, I instantly understood kind of what the lesson and stuff like that was. And some people will have like a different lesson to be learned out of this book. There's kind of like two main lessons out of this book that people will get out of, and I kind of might have had the more unpopular lesson. I know the lesson is supposed to be a lot more clear, and it's definitely what R.L. Stine tries to put it as, but I kind of seen a little more of a hidden message in there that maybe not everybody else was able to see. So what are my general thoughts on this book? I thought it was pretty good. The pacing was pretty good. As I mentioned, at kind of the beginning of part of the book is basically just Carly Beth being scared many times, so then she finally decides to go to the mask store. And when I read this book, I thought, oh, please don't spend the first 50 pages of the book doing this to me, because that's what they do with a lot of these books. Now, it's not always, the main character being easily scareable. Sometimes it's the main character being, bullied by somebody else because, I don't know, they do stupid things or something like that. So I was like, please do not spend half of the book doing this just to stall time. And they didn't do that. The pacing was really good. They spent maybe the first 30 pages, but within those 30 pages, the pacing was nice. They didn't spend a whole lot of time doing that, and I really did like that. The lesson was really good. Like I said, it came across very, very clear for me, both lessons. The hidden lesson that maybe I only understood, and the lesson that a lot of other people would have probably gotten through. And the ending was pretty good. I thought the twist, it was the same as the episode, I'll say that. And I was kind of hoping it would be a different ending, because I don't know, I wasn't a huge fan of the ending. It was nothing super incredible or anything like that. And it doesn't really affect anything going into The Haunted Mask 2. Kind of lost my train of thought there, but basically what I was just trying to say is that the ending didn't ruin things for me. I just think it could have been a little bit better, maybe a little bit more interesting. Definitely not one of the better twist endings for me. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I can go over without, majorly spoiling any parts of the book. So what would I give The Haunted Mask out of 10? I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10, but it would definitely be in the top 10 for my Goosebumps book, or top 10 original series Goosebumps books for me. Definitely one of the higher tier Goosebumps books. I really did enjoy this. So I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10, but I think I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10, just because I think the ending could have been a little bit more interesting. But overall, the pacing was pretty good. The lesson was really, really good. Obviously, this was the first episode made for Goosebumps, so it just shows you how much love R.L. Stine really did put into this book, and how much he really did like The Haunted Mask. I think it was one of his favorite Goosebumps books that he made, so, and it's one of the earlier ones, so it's easier to see why it is one of the better ones. So The Haunted Mask, overall, really great book. Do recommend it, and I recommend that you read the book before you watch the episode. So, yeah, that is it for the review. Make sure you stay tuned for that future content that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. As I said, I am currently reading Piano Lessons Can't Be Murder. Gonna try to get that finished as soon as possible. So once I do, I'll get a review out for that. So make sure you stay tuned for that future content and read the community post to stay up to date with any potential future changes. And join the Discord. As always, link will always be in the description of every video. Join it if you have not. Interesting conversations that happen there, and there's also a money grind game that some of you will find, pretty fun. If you're really bored, it's something to do in your spare time. So, yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Other than that, like and subscribe, guys, and I'll see you next time.